Welcome to NeverTheLess podcast with Bidemi Mark-Mordi, a show dedicated to organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Today, you would learn how to discover your essence and live more powerfully.
Hello there. You're welcome to the NeverTheLess show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. And this is the third part in our umbrella series. The first one we considered focused on God. We considered focus on purpose in the second week. And in this week, we're focusing on something extremely interesting. And of course, I have with me Pastor Bidemi Mark-Mordi.
Hello, viewers. Thank you for joining us. It's the NeverTheLess show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. And yes, we are under the umbrella series for the month of January, and we're looking at 4 pillars to focus on if you want a stable and impactful year ahead of you in 2024. Like John said last week, we looked at focus on purpose, and we said that there are gains that come when you make sure that you know why, the why of your journey at any given time. As part of those benefits or advantages is that your life is powerful beyond consideration, because you are able to be stable in all your decisions and in all your ways. You find that you are able to impact others. You also find that you live fulfilled, and finally you have a God-glorifying life. We talked about the power of the purpose statement, a statement that captures why you are on earth. And as we move on this week, we want to bring you another pillar on which you should focus in 2024 if you want to get things right. John, do you want to let the cat out of the bag? What is it that we're focusing on this week?
Focusing on family.
Family, yes. Family. Because a lot of us want to excel. We want to make 2024 our best year yet.
Yes.
We want to, as we say in Nigeria, we want to hammer. We want to go places we've never been before. We want to be on billboards, and we want our names to resound in every household. And all of these are lofty and they're legitimate, and you should desire them and you should work towards them. But I think that when we have won all the laurels outside of the home, I think that when everyone outside of our immediate family knows our names, I think that when everyone outside wants to be us and be with us, when we walk through our doors, finally at the end of the day, no matter what you do and where you go, at the end of the day, hopefully, I don't know how long your day would be for you, whether your day is 7 days collapsed into one, or one day, 24 hours, like my own day. At the end of your day, you want to go home.
Yes.
You want to go home to your family. And what we're trying to say or explore on this episode is that when you walk through your doors, what's waiting for you? Because of the nature of my work, I know people who for weeks on end will not go home. They'll sleep at their places of work. They'll sleep, in their friends' homes, not because they don't have a roof over their head, but just because things are not how they ought to be at home. Now, from someone who has her hands full, busy trying to chase this life of purpose and put my focus on God, believe me, I know what it is that I'm saying. I said to John that the saddest day for me is the day I walk home, and of all the accolades that I have received outside, is I get in through my doors, and the ones who open the door for me at home do not even bother to say welcome. Or they take a look at you and they're like, that will be a really sad day. So we are, as we pursue all the things we want to pursue outside of our homes and all of that, let's make sure that our families are a priority. It's in Psalm 68, I believe, where God talks about the fact that he puts the solitary in families. It is important. God is a community God. That's how I like to say it. And he knows that none of us is able to thrive alone. None of us is able to do things for ourselves. And so he puts us in family. I think that God also puts us in families so that we'll have people we are vulnerable and authentic with. People who people know us enough to know when we are masking pain or when we're speaking the truth. And if those who are the closest to us cannot vouch for us, what is the point? It doesn't matter who's clapping for you at the stadium and outside and on the streets and on social media. If you walk through your doors and your spouses and your children are not excited that you are home, you have made a massive mistake. And please don't think that I'm speaking from the place of this high horse thinking that I have it all together. No, perhaps I am speaking this to you, and everything that I will speak to you, I've spoken to you and will speak to you through the course of this month. Perhaps I'm speaking from experience that it is important that your children can look at you and say, I'm proud of you. Because they know that you don't just give all the attention while you are out. When you come home, you give the attention as well. And this is not just for the men, this is for the women as well. You see, a purpose has a way of consuming, and it can quickly become a bad thing. If you don't put it within the parameters of there are other important things in your life, and you want to focus on them and ensure that they get their due as well. Because otherwise you just find yourself, you work and work and work and work. And when the day comes and you're finally done, you know how we say they should write tributes. Your children are the ones that say to you, oh, you built many things, but you did not build our home. Oh, my father was many things to many people, but I did not quite know my father. Oh, my mother was all over the place, but those things, we never think that they happen, but they happen. And for me, the yardstick of whether I'm doing well or not is, can my family vouch for me? When I'm in pain, who's the first person I want to tell? When I'm embarrassed, who's the first person I want to call? When people begin to say things about me that are untrue, who are the ones that will stand for me and vouch for me? Don't force your families to vouch for you just because they have to say something to protect you. Let it be that when they stand to vouch for you, everything they say is as it is at home. Those things are very important. But when we want to thrive, when we want to succeed, I don't think that we consider family as a pillar upon which we can build. We always think that, oh, my family would always be there for me. After all, they cannot reject me, no matter what. Even if they claim that they've disowned me, they still are my family. So we always tend to, because of familiarity, take our families for granted.
Because of familiarity, we take our own family
for granted, yes. Because you see them every day. You possibly eat from the same plate with them. You have seen them naked. They've seen you naked. You've seen them when they had money. You've seen them in their worst, and they've seen you in your worst. So sometimes you just think that they understand. The goal was not to take them for granted. The goal was to quickly go and attend to those who may not understand. And then one day becomes 1 week becomes 1 year becomes 10 years. And who's suffering? The spouse and the children, your immediate family, your parents. I was having a conversation this week, and I was saying to someone that one of the ways I was able to process my father's death and, begin to heal from it was because I remember vividly where I was the last time I spoke to my father. I was going off to the United States, and on the way to the airport, I remember that I had not spoken to my father. So I called him to say, oh, Papa, I'm traveling. And he said, where are you going? And I told him where I was going. He prayed for me. And I remember before I got off the call, I said to him, I've not sent your allowance for this month, but when I get to the airport and I settle down, I will send it. When I got to the airport and I settled down at the lounge, I sent him his allowance for the month. And he called me back again to pray for me. That was the last conversation I had with my father.
Wow.
Now, someone would have said on that trip, because I was going for something and I needed all the money in the world, I could have said, let me quickly go and come. Papa doesn't really need a lot of money. He knows that I always give him money. So if I can't do it this way, maybe when I come back, I'll be able to do it. If that were the scenario, I don't know if I would have been able to easily forgive myself, that I had the opportunity to be a blessing to him in his final weeks, and I neglected to do so. So here's what I'm saying. When it comes to family, this ought to be sobering. So you can see my hands are not going anywhere, because this is close to my heart. We need to remember that a family is the smallest unit of society. Yes. And what the enemy does is, if he can destroy the family, then he's destroyed society. All this dysfunction you see in society started from homes. And they started because someone said, my family understands. Because someone said, let me quickly do it for someone outside. Because someone was thinking, they know that I love them. I don't need to say it to them. They know that I'm proud of them. I don't need to say it to them. Oh, even there's this dysfunction, especially in the lives of men, that I see that impacts upon family. Your children have never seen you afraid. Your children have never seen you confused. Your children have never seen you, not knowing what to do. All they know is daddy is a macho man.
He's a superman.
So at the end of the day, when your children find themselves in places where they don't know what to do, they don't know who to go to. They can't come home because it's not something they've ever seen their parents do. Or their father, their parents experience. And it's not that their parents didn't experience it, it's because their parents maxed it. So what do? They go to their fraternity in schools. They go to friends outside, and those ones don't have the values that the parents have. Because of that, they give them solutions that, rather than dig them out of the hole, further bury them. Can you see that? Our children, in putting your family as priority, is not only, to provide for them. I've had situations where the man will say to the wife, the woman will say, you don't love me anymore. And he will say, but I just bought you a new car. It's not the same. Did I not build this house that we're living in? It is not the same. This week, I learned as a leader that it's okay to say, I don't know. And I want to push it further to say, as a parent, it's okay to say to your children, I don't have the answers. I would research it. Let's find it out together. It is how we bond in a family. And whether you know it or not, just because your family cannot reject you, they are the greatest allies that you have. So if we keep hurting our family in the name of we're pursuing something that we want to achieve in our years, what becomes of all of that success we're in pursuit of when we get home and there's no one to say, I'm proud of you? Because everyone is upset that we abandoned them for all of this time in pursuit of something. So we need to pay attention to that. I know it's sobering. I don't know if you have questions.
I'm beginning to understand why you even find young people who grow up and say, I don't want to be as successful as my parents. I don't want to chase purpose. I don't want to become anything, because they saw what daddy and mommy became by becoming something.
Yes. So, if we don't pay attention, it's very easy to miss this. And like I said, I want to repeat it. Familiarity can make you take your family for granted. Because you say, they know me, they see my heart, they know I mean well. I'm hustling so that I will provide for them. Sometimes they would rather be hungry with you in the same house, in one room, than to live in a mansion where you provide them with everything and they do not see you. So you need to know, your family need to know what you're doing. They need to know where you're at every point. They need to know what's going on behind your mind. Because then they will know how to pray for you. They will know how to help you. They will know how to stand for you. But most importantly, in my opinion, they will know how to be proud of you. Because success everywhere without it resonating at home is not important. At least for me, it's not as important as we think it is. Our time is up for now. We're going to go on a break. And when we come back, we'll continue this conversation about making room for our families. We'll probably look at what are things we can do together as families so that we're in each other's spaces, even after we finish going out individually to save the world and return. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back shortly.
In a world filled with many fears and discouragement, life often becomes a burden. For those who know the way, life is just simple. Do not worry, you're not alone on this life's journey, as Bidemi Mark-Mordi shares powerful insights and principles from her everyday work and life experiences in her book, NeverTheLess. NeverTheLess is a book designed to encourage and equip you to face life with courage, hope, and determination. Get a copy of NeverTheLess and other books written by Bidemi Mark-Mordi, like The Wisdom of the Seed, Honor, The Theology of Work, and so much more from a bookstore nearby. Or call 080-905-63555. Or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com to place your order. I guarantee you will make it, nevertheless.
All right, you're welcome back to the NeverTheLess show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. In this umbrella series, we have been talking about family on this episode, and I can tell you it has really been heavy because it hits home, really. And in this concluding segment of this episode, I would listen to Pastor Bidemi as she shares more insight on how to focus on family.
Okay, so even during the break, we continue to talk about this. One of the things personally that God has been dealing with me concerning is honor. And if there is anywhere that honor falls to the ground easily, it's in the family. On Sunday, I was talking about it. Next Sunday, I'll speak some more about it. Honor. To see your family and let them see you is an honor thing. And honor is the key with which we get into many places. In 2 Samuel, actually, chapter 12, we see the account of David. David had just gone through what we call Bathsheba Gate, and God came to give his judgment, if you like. And what God said to David in 2 Samuel chapter number 12, verse number 11, it says, "Thus says the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against you out of your own house. And I will take your wives before your eyes and give them to your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in the sight of the sun." People don't understand the genesis of this. The fulfillment of this happened when Absalom took his father's concubines, took them to the rooftop, and desecrated his father's bed by laying with his father's concubines. And that father was David, whom we just read about in 2 Samuel chapter 12. But what was the thing that opened the door to this? It was Bathsheba Gate that brought about this. But I don't think that this started from Bathsheba Gate. I think the seed for this was sown when Amnon, another of David's son, raped Tamar, David's daughter, who was Absalom's sister.
Yes.
And David did nothing about it. Absalom was upset, but he did nothing about it. I think that rebellion that happened, that Absalom rebelled against his father in contending for the throne of Israel with his father in the latter days of David, was given back to because David didn't pay attention to his household. I'll give you another example. This is in 1 Samuel of Eli and his sons. If you remember, Eli and his two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, died in the same day. The two sons died in battle. And when the news came to their father, he toppled over, broke his neck, and he died. What was the problem? If the same Eli, who in his old age raised Samuel to become a prophet who was responsible to God, could not raise his own children properly. The Bible said they desecrated the altar of God. They went in and out, took at will the portions that were reserved for God from the altar. We need to be family members who are present if we would excel in this year. To recognize that, you see, sometimes it's not so much what you say when you are home, but just to be in the same space together. To just see people without their knowing that you are watching them. It is so pivotal. Now, people will be saying, but when we get there, we have nothing to do together. Just sit in the same room. My husband always emphasizes it. You say, BMM, I just want to be in the same room with you. You don't even have to talk to me. Just watch TV and you are in the same room with me, I'm fine. It's not because he's clingy. It's not because there's something wrong with our marriage. It is the fact that he understands the power of giving priority to presence in a family. Do you get it? This last festive season, our 3 children had not been home in 1 year. They lived abroad and they had not come home because of their different interests and what they were doing. My husband decided that we were not going to spend the Christmas home without them. If they were not going to come, we were going to go because it was important. And those 3 weeks were really good to just be in the same tiny space with our children, morning to night every day, morning to night every day. It wasn't because we were praying, we were fasting, we were going to church. It wasn't anything of that. It was just to be in the same space and recognize that we are one, we are family again. Do you understand that? So these are the reasons why it is important. I've told us that the family is the smallest unit of society. And if that family is destroyed, everything is going to go south within society. The family is the foundation. And the Bible says, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? There are CEOs that their business is not thriving because things at home are not working. I remember years ago, a friend of mine, her husband, came to, they were having some altercation back and forth. And he actually, in his conversation, he said to her, I don't want to quarrel with you because every time we have a quarrel, I get to work. He ran a business. My business doesn't do well. So you need to know that this thing we have that happens between us impacts upon the source of our livelihood. That's how powerful the family is. When of all the things, the contraptions God could have put together, he put together a family. We need to sit down sometimes and think, why? Do you see it?
Yes.
So I know that the word tricked us. And they said to us, absence makes the heart fonder. But I'd like to review that for our listeners today. Absence makes the heart go cold. Because after a while, you will not see a need to invest in that relationship anymore. We adjust to it. We adjust, yes. And we just say, well, even when they're here, they're not here. So if they're not here, okay. We need to do better. And this is for me as much as it's for you. Because if the enemy will scatter your family, there is nothing else you do out there that should matter. I know someone who's maybe divorced or, estranged families will be like, are you judging us? Oh, no. But we all shouldn't end up where you've ended up. That's just the honest truth. You might have done everything you could do and it still didn't work. At least let it be that I also try to do all that I can do. I'm not saying that giving priority and all of that is the antidote to all the things that families suffer. But I do know that we want to be able to know that our family trusts us. We want to be able to know that our family know in word and in deed, that we care for them. We want them to be the ones who stand for us. We want them to be the ones who say to us, you can go now, it's okay, we'll be all right. Those things are important. As I have grown and grown and grown in the things that I do, sometimes I'm tempted to think I don't need permission from my family members because they know this is my life to go on and be these things and do these things. But from time to time, the Lord tugs at my heart and he says, no, that's not the way to do it. Because remember, I told you it's about honor. It's about honor. To give weight to regard, to defer to those that God has given to you to be your closest allies in the course of a journey. Questions?
So I have two questions. The first one speaks to who is looking to, quickly make a change, before things go bad.
Yes.
What are the things that I can do now to ensure that it doesn't deteriorate in my family? We are honoring each other. And then also for someone who it looks as though it's bad now, it's terrible, what can I do to fix it?
For your first question, I suggest that you do things together. They don't need to be big things. They don't have to be exotic things. You don't have to get on a plane and go somewhere. Just do things together. Just go to the Yaiba down the road and buy 300 naira, 500 as you can afford food. Come and sit down and eat together. Have conversations together. Why is it that when you learn something new, you don't discuss first with members of your household, you call someone else outside? Do you see that? I know you say, oh, they don't understand make them understand. Help them see what you do. There are wives who don't know anything about what their husbands do. And there are husbands who have no clue what their wives do. There are children who can't tell anyone outside what their parents do. That's not good. You need to be able to have interactions that border on interests other than just border on each other. What do I do? What am I doing? What do I know? What do I not know? Now that I think about it, my husband needs to go to court. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. And yet he'll be telling me, what he's doing. He'll be like, these are the facts of the case. What do you think? I'm not even a lawyer. And he'll say to me, I'm not lying. He'll say to me, I know you have all these angles that I may not see. And then he'll lay it in front of me and I'm supposed to just make my contribution by common sense, not by law. And then he will now say, yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. We have to take off from the place of common sense to be able to arrive at the place of law. So we have those conversations. I don't plan to be a lawyer tomorrow. But whenever we walk away from those conversations, here's how I feel. I feel like he trusts me so much, my judgment so much, that even professionally, he would ask for my opinion. Can you see it? It's the same thing here. There are things that happen in my business, and I don't make decisions. I just say, I go home and I say, I don't even know what to do, even if I have an idea. Because you have to invite people in so that they see what you're doing to be able to make their contributions. It doesn't mean that he comes to run what I'm doing. I'm never going to go to his office to be able to make that suggestion that I'm making. And he doesn't even have to take the suggestion. Because there are times I'll give him a suggestion and he'll be like, no, BMM, let me take it back. See this for this reason and that reason. I don't throw a temper tantrum and say, I gave you counsel, you did not take it. Do you see it?
Yes.
But to just know that we are doing life together, it helps to get people to move along. That's number one. Number two, the ones who think that things are now so bad that they don't know where to start. The counsel usually is that you will start with trying to fix it yourself. But if you cannot fix it yourself, there must be someone that you both have regard for, and both of you feel safe with, that you can go to mediate or to intervene in what you're going through. But here's the catch for me, especially in marriage situations about bringing a third party in. I do not think you should wait until it's troubled time before you bring people in. Make sure that as a matter of course, you forge relationships relationships with other people so that when you get to that point, you are not inviting your spouse to come and sit in front of strangers to now have conversations. You know, I know that strangers, sometimes you have to go to therapy, and all of that is necessary if it will help you. But I'm thinking that if we have what I call accountability mentors for our marriages, for instance, then that would be another level of intervention that you can explore before ultimately you say, let me go to my pastor or let me go to my to a therapist to see if we can get the answers that we're unable to get by ourselves.
All right.
But really, all of this is, don't wait until it deteriorates to that point. This particular episode for me is very key. If you want a pillar to stand on in 2024 for stability, consider your family and give them the right of place. I think I'm done. I don't have a lot more to say, but just think about it carefully and leave me a comment, send in a question if you have any. Even if you differ from my opinion, you are free to share it. All my handles are Bidemi Mark-Mordi, whether on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, podcast, wherever. It's Bidemi Mark-Mordi, so you can follow me on social media and get to have access to more of content like this. John, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling inspired and directed at the same time, right? Knowing that, okay, now things are not bad in my family, so I know that I will intentionally invest in building relationships with my wife, with my kids when they come, you know. And I'm also even thinking, even though not my immediate family, my mom, my younger sisters, I want to keep in touch with them, call them and just be involved with their lives.
It doesn't matter. Initially, the first set of calls will be awkward because it's not a habit you have. But over time, you will find that when something now happens, they know to make recourse to you. I'm very grateful to my parents, my mom especially, because my mom made it her life work that her children will be involved with each other. I can't tell you how many times it's been my sibling that scooped me out of fire. And I can't tell you how many times I'm the one in the life of my sibling who put something at bay for them. I also can't tell you how many times I'm the reason why they walk through a door, or how many times they are the ones that for their sake I walk through a door. Everyone else will leave us. Family does not. Even if they wanted to, they cannot. They can say, I disown you, but if you still go out there, others will still say you are from that family. And because of that, we need to give our families consideration. We need to be a lot more open with our family. We shouldn't, I don't know about keeping secrets from your family members. I think it's not safe. I think that, again, you must be authentic enough. Let your family truly know you. Because when the day comes that you need someone to stand for you, protect you, and defend you, every other person will run to their corner. Your family is the one that has the burden of ensuring that you do well. So next week when we come, we'll be looking at the final pillar of the Umbrella series. Pillars to hold on to and focus on in 2024 if you want to have a stable year. Remember that I always say that if you discover your purpose, then you live powerful lives. If Jesus tarries, I and John will be here next week to round off this month's episodes of the NeverTheLess show. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you for listening to NeverTheLess. For more information and resources, call 080-90563-555 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com. Don't forget, discovering your purpose helps you live more powerfully.